All right, YouTube, here we go. Back in the shop. It's a beautiful morning, a beautiful morning. And as you can see, I have moved the fuel tanks out and put them up on the rack. Yeah, I got a lot of other stuff. It's amazing when we're like guppies, when we got space, we got to fill it up. Well, at least I am, at least. So we got other stuff. That we're storing for family, for my brother, who's building a house and needed a place to store his appliances. But enough of that. Yeah, so you guys can see we have moved the fuel tanks out, and we now have the wings are back in. Yes, the wings are here. So we got the wings in, and order of operation today is we got a couple things going on. I don't know if you guys remember. Let me kind of walk over to this side and let me clear off clean the lens there. On this side, and I can't see it because it's right into the sun. If you guys notice, we've got we've got our riveter and our special tool. Now, way back when, I don't even know, several months ago, I was unable to rivet these rivets. And the reason being is if you take the gun and you try to get it in there, you can't do it because the angle of the rib. See how you're pushing on that? So there is a tool, and it's angled, and it allows you to sit flush to the rivet, but it's at an angle so your gun doesn't have to be perpendicular. It can be at an angle, and it still rivets solid. So we have that tool is here, and I would highly recommend if you're building fuel tanks, you're going to need this for your fuel tanks too, and everything. Get this guy. It's a great little tool for doing offset or angled rivets. So yeah, so we got to rivet up the rest of, you can see the clecos. So we got to finish all of those up today. We've already safety wired this. If you guys remember in the last video, not last video, but one of the videos, we already ran the safety wire. This is for the servo. This is the right wing. Yeah, so this is the right wing. And so we servoed those. Well, we got servos in here and that's what that is. And so we put the bracket in, and then we safety tied that. And then going over to this wing, which is the left wing, this is where I don't have the pitot static. I'm putting in the Dynon heated pitot and AOA pitot tube. So that bracket will be here in the next couple days. It's already been ordered. Who knows? It's in the mail. But we also got to put that in, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But as you can see, today we got to finish up the riveting of all of the rivets. Blind rivets. I call them pop rivets, but I guess the technical term is blind rivets. So we're going to get all those done. And then we're going to proceed on getting these. These are covers. So basically they go over, and it's actually a support. It also offers a lot of support to keep these trailing edges from flapping in the wind and everything. So these are the covers that go over here and everything. So I got to get those dimpled, and to match the dimples on the other side. If you see, they're dimpled here because we want flush rivets. So we got to get these dimpled, and then maybe we will get them painted up today, depending on weather and time and everything like that. So yeah, we're no sleep for the weary. We've got a plane to build, and as you guys can see, it's a beautiful morning here in Florida. I'm not bragging. It's about 68 degrees. Going to get in the 70s, mid 80s, or low 80s, I should say. So today will be a great day. I'm going to try to get as much as I can done before the storms. We do have storms blowing in from the Gulf. So I'm going to try to get as much as we can done. But yeah, we're on to the wings. The tanks are up there now. I got news on the tanks. We'll talk about that. But I will tell you, those tanks are going to get redone. And I'll just leave it at that. Those are some mighty big pieces that go on the wall of shame, but they're going on the wall of shame. And you guys are, well, I'll just break the news to you. I found out that I did something incredibly stupid on the end brackets. The very last piece, I screwed up. I got the right on the left side and the left on the right. That's what happens when you think you're smarter and you don't follow the plans or don't look 3 or 4 times. But yes, I could cut them out or take them out and redo them. But I will tell you this. I spoke with, in the process of determining how I was going to get the Pro Seal off, I spoke with engineers at PPG or salespeople at PPG, and they have told me that if it was up to them, they would rebuild them because the method that I used, as you know, I'm confident that no fuel will ever get through that thing. The method I use is not the right method, and so when we redo that, I do have the new tanks coming from Vans. And after talking to people who do fuel tanks, and I'm not talking Vans fuel tanks, but people who actually do tanks for the airline, the big guys, the big boys, I'm going to redo the process, and we're going to show that process in those videos when we get there. And basically, you know, it's your airplane. You do what you want, but basically everybody that I talked to, and I've talked to a few being three different people, all said the same thing, doing it wrong. The instructions, and I don't want to criticize anybody, that's not my goal, but the instructions that were given on how to do it are really not the, I want to say, standard, or the instructions that that you do in the real world, or that people that do these for a living would do. So, like I said, not criticizing. It's your plane. You follow the instructions, but we're going to redo the tanks, and we're going to do it the way that the manufacturer recommends. And the other thing, too, is I am going to go to the PPG course. They offer 3-day courses free of charge. And I'm going to go up and go through that course to do this. So, but enough of that. We'll get there. You guys should go. Don't leave us in suspense. Well, I got to wait for the new tanks to get here. So, and I also got to go to the course. So, yeah, it is what it is. Lesson learned. You'll learn that on a lot of things. Sometimes, yeah, you gotta make those mistakes. And hopefully, I don't make too many of those. They are costly mistakes. Vans, so you know, Vans does offer an RV10 replacement fuel tank kit. You just got to ask for it. It's not listed on their site. It's $1,400 plus shipping for your right and left tank. And so, yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. So, needless to say, we're going to get on the wings and get that done. Hopefully, I don't know what I could screw up here on the wings. I'm sure there's a lot of things I can screw up, but yeah, we'll get on the wings and get this done, and then go from there. So, you guys know the routine. The plane's not going to build itself, so I got to get to work. All right, YouTube. So we got all of the rivets in, the blind rivets in, and I will tell you that angle tool that I used was phenomenal. It actually served 2 purposes. Number one, it made sure that I was riveting perpendicular to the rivet head, even though I was tilted out because of the way it was designed. But number 2, it helped me set these rivets in the holes. Sometimes they don't want to quite line up, so you can use that tool to push the rivet down. It gives you a little bit of leverage. So I did all of that. Then, so that's on both sides. The other thing is and you guys will develop your own QA process. So these are torque indicators, these lines, and it's like a wax material that you put on your bolts to show. Now these are nylock bolts or nuts. So in theory, they should never back off, right? You guys, if you ever use the nylon or nylock, you'll know that. But what I do is I went and bought a bicycle torque wrench. This seems to have the right scale. Now, granted, it's not digital, but it has the right scale for torquing down. And this is, we use these on bikes or whatever to torque them. So what I did is I went through each one, made sure that it had the right torque. That number you need to go look up in the book for the AN bolt and the nylock. I'm not going to tell you because you need to know that. It's part of building a plane. So I went and torqued them down, make sure none did. And then what I did is I used the torque indicators after I know that they were torqued to the right specification for that bolt and this application. I then put my torque indicator on there, and that's basically just a tube that it looks like a super glue tube, and it's a waxy material. You'll get all over your hands. You got to clean it up so you get good beads. So I ran and did all the torque indicators, and what that does is that tells me now that these have all been QA checked, torqued, and everything. The other thing too is if you notice the height of the bolt coming through the nut is the same. It should be the same, pretty much. So that's another indicator. I don't use that. I use my trusty bicycle torque meter here. Convert inches to pounds, foot pounds, or whatever. I think this one here is inch pounds. So you have to do a little bit of conversion, but no big deal. How many inches? Yeah, there you go. So, in a foot pound, how many inches? There you go. There you go. But, you guys got to figure the math out. So that's what I did is I proceeded to validate all the torquing, and then I put the torque indicators on each one of the bolts and everything. So that way I know that these have been verified. I do not put the torque indicator on until I'll torque them and then put and validate. I left these off because I knew these wings were going to be moved and shipped and a lot of things. And so I just left it off. I mean, I could have done it when I originally torqued it down, right? It's just, whatever works for you. That's what worked for me. I knew I was going to be in here working on them anyways, and part of my final QA is going through. Now, I can't skin this, can't put the bottom skins on yet because as you guys know, the fuel tanks go in this space here and form the leading edge. But what I can do is I can go ahead and put these, I don't know what they call them. I have to go look at the plans. These are caps that kind of protect. I think it adds a little bit more stability. Like I said earlier in the video on this, it kind of tightens everything back together and keeps this trailing edge from fluttering in the wind. Plus your ailerons and your flaps, ailerons on the far and your flaps are in here, and I think that gives it a little bit aerodynamic. Just adds to the aerodynamic so that you don't have vortices coming off this leading edge and then coming back up inside here and building up turbulence and stuff. I don't know. Let's go over here and look. I got the plans. Why don't we just go see what they call them? I pulled. It's just a good time. Today, one of the things you're going to learn with building, what I have learned with building an RV is you have a lot of days where it's pretty intense. Oh, I'm not putting in, this is the next plan after the fuel tank. I'm not putting in a stall warning indicator, a manual. You guys that have Cessnas know, because my pitot tube will have an AOA built into it and it will tell me. So they are calling these the aileron gap fairing, and this is obviously be the flap gap fairing. So yep, so that's what we're going to be putting in. This is the pitot tube that you get with vans. Like I said, I'm replacing that with the Dynon AOA heated pitot tube, and we'll get into that. It has a whole different bracket that goes in. And like I said, we can't put the skins over the tank yet because we got to be able to get through to be able to bolt. We got to bolt we got to bolt the fuel tank to the thing, and with the skins on, yeah, good luck with that, right? So yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. I got to get these out, get them cleaned up, get them dimpled so that they match the dimpling of the skin. And then I have to take them out, and we're going to prime them. And so that way they're green like everything else, right? So we're going to prime them, and because they are aluminum color. And then, yeah, let them sit, and then that will get us ready to go ahead and get those crimped in, or riveted. Not crimped. We don't crimp anything, but get those riveted in. So that's about it. So we're going to mix up some paint. I do have some more paint that I got a pint or quart. I got a quart of paint. I didn't need a gallon. I was about a gallon with these here, but I just got a quart because that's all I need. So the rest of my painting, the only thing that I'll have to prime from here on is the skin and this. So I didn't think another gallon would do it. I don't know. Maybe I should have got another gallon just to be safe, but it is what it is, and everything. So, yep. So I got to get these blue off, and then get these things ready for paint, and then hopefully the weather will hold out long enough so I'll know. I mean, I can get these things painted. So there you go. A little bit more, getting it done, one piece at a time. All right, YouTube. There you go. I've got the flanges rust inhibited, or corrosion inhibited. No, they're painted. Depends on what, depends on what is and what you're allowed to do at your hangar and what you're not. No, this is a corrosion inhibitor. It's not painting. It's a corrosion inhibitor. So, so got that done. I noticed different batch of the Noble, Azle Noble. And this is a lot brighter green than this. So, so yeah, your batches do, I guess, make a difference. It don't matter. It's all going to get painted anyways, except the interior. But this outer part here will be painted when we paint the aircraft. I hope, for the amount of money that I was quoted to paint the airplane and everything. So, so got that done. Got the part squeezed, got everything dimpled, ready to go. And so we'll let these cook overnight or so and set up, and then we will come in and get those riveted in. And like I said, I can't put the skin on because I got to be able to get down to the bolts for the fuel tank. So we're kind of, once again, but the new fuel tanks will be coming. They've been ordered and they're on their way. I just don't know when they'll get here, but maybe what we can do to keep this ball rolling is I've got a tail section. Those are the vertical, the rudder, the elevators, all wrapped up there, and of course the tail over there. So maybe what we can do is roll that into the bay, roll these back until the tanks, and get going. We got plenty. That's the one thing about an RV. There's always something to do or something that needs to get done. So we'll get working on those, even though we can't finish up sealing the thing up. And then of course, we still have the pitot tube coming in, so we'll have to mount that bracket. We got to run conduit while it's open. There's a lot still to be done. We got to run conduit so this side, we're going to have conduit that's going to run all the way out because I'm using the zip tips. So I've got electrical run all the way out to the tip for the zip tips. And then this one here is going to have the servo motors for the autopilot, which goes here. So I've got conduit for that. And then I've got to basically do the same thing here. I got conduit for the pitot tube, AOA indicator, heated, all of that. And then I've got another set of conduit that's got to go all the way out for the zip tips as well. So maybe we can do that. I've got special fasteners that we'll have to mount in each one in these holes, or we'll have to rivet those in, and those fasteners will zip tie and hold the conduit. I got to look at some of the other builders and see where they ran them and what axis or what lightning hole. Lightning is not in crash boom lightning. Crash. You don't ever want to say that with airplane. These are lightning. In other words, make them less weight. Lightning holes. So you got to figure out where the best one to run them is for that, and everything. So I'm not running radios out in the tips. The radios are going to be in the canoe or in the fuselage. So I got 2 runs of conduit. I do want to keep my zip tip wires, my lighting wires, and my servo wires, and also the element, but there's no servo on this side, and my heating element. I want to keep those wires separated from each other so there's no interference. I know that I'm going to use insulated wires and shielded, so there's not going to be any issues, but I'm here, might as well make good practice. And to be honest with you, the weight that I'm adding by adding the extra piece of conduit in here is negligible. So, all right, so that's about it. I'm going to call it a day, wrap it up, go home, spend the day with the family, and I appreciate it. If you have any questions and concerns, you guys know the routine. Leave them in the comment section. I'll get back to you. And like always, may God bless you. Keep you guys safe.